In the footage, the girl never screams. She just steps out of the elevator, walks down the quiet carpeted hallway, and stops in front of room 412. It's 23:41. The timestamp blinks red in the corner of the screen. She hesitates, glances once over her shoulder, and lifts her hand to knock. Then, the hallway lights flicker. For exactly 1 second, the frame glitches. The lights dim, the pixels smear, and a dark vertical shape appears beside her, like a person made of static. When the picture clears, the girl is gone. Room 412's door is closed. The hallway is empty. The camera keeps recording nothing for the next 7 hours. Detective Elias Kade watched the clip for the third time, thumb pressed against his lower lip, eyes not leaving the blurred shadow. He'd been called in that morning by the local chief, small European town, quiet place, the kind of city where the biggest crime was usually a drunk fight outside a bar. They didn't call in a regional detective like Elias unless something was very wrong. He rewound. Elevator opens. Nora Hensel, 19, brown hair and a messy bun, backpack over one shoulder, second-year psychology student, lived on the 3rd floor, visited room 412 at night and never came back. Replay. The shadow's shape wasn't well defined, slender, taller than the girl, no face, just a darker patch of darkness leaning from the corner of the frame. Nothing else? Elias asked. The building manager shifted nervously beside him in the monitoring room, hands jammed into his blazer pockets. That's it. No exits, no staircase footage, no sign of her leaving the building. And room 412? Elias asked. Empty, has been for months. Who rented it last? The manager swallowed. No one since last year. Since what? Elias's voice stayed quiet, but the room manager flinched as if he'd shouted. There was another police matter. A man, The manager looked at the floor. He went missing. Same floor, same room. Elias stared at him. Also vanished on camera? The manager nodded. It's in the archive, but that case was closed. They said he must have left off camera. The system was buggy then. And you didn't mention this when you reported Nora missing? I didn't want to sound insane, the man muttered. I like my job. Elias turned back to the screen. Elevator, girl, door, flicker, shadow, emptiness. He felt the familiar tightening beneath his ribs, that mix of cold curiosity and something darker, the thing he never named. He'd been like this ever since his own daughter disappeared from a crowded train station 8 years ago, swallowed by a blind spot in the cameras. No witnesses, no one saw her go, just a gap, like someone had cut her out of reality with scissors. Show me room 412, Elias said. The hallway smelled like cleaning fluid and old dust, thin gray carpet, beige walls, identical doors with brass numbers. 410, 411, 412. The manager stopped a few steps behind him, as if the air in front of that door was different. Key, Elias said. The man fumbled with his key ring, found the right one, and pushed it into the lock. It turned with a stiff, reluctant click. The door opened inward with a dull squeak. Room 412 was nothing. Bare mattressless bed frame, an empty wardrobe with its doors half open, a single chair in the corner, cheap and functional. White curtains, thin as breath, hanging over a closed window that looked out onto another building's blank brick wall. No suitcases, no clothes, no coffee cup with lipstick print, no signs that anyone had lived here in months. Elias stepped inside. His shoes made no sound on the worn laminate. Who has keys? Elias asked. Just management, maintenance, cleaning staff, and me. Any sign of forced entry last night? The manager shook his head. Nothing. Elias walked slowly, scanning the floor, the corners, under the bed frame. He crouched and ran a gloved finger along the dust near the skidding board. No fresh marks, no drag patterns, no footprints. He checked the window. It was locked from the inside. Paint had sealed part of the metal latch over years. No way someone opened that last night without leaving visible damage. Fire escape? Elias asked. Not on this side, only in the stairwell. Secret doors, hidden passages. The manager gave a weak laugh, then saw Elias's expression and quickly shook his head. No, this is just a hotel converted to student flats. The creepiest thing here is the wallpaper in the lobby. Elias moved to the middle of the room and turned in a slow circle. 4 white walls, 1 window, 1 door. A girl enters, lights flicker, no girl. Could the footage be manipulated? Deleted frames, edited feed? The manager chewed his lip. We use a standard digital system. I don't know. Maybe? Elias's phone buzzed. It was the chief. Anything? The chief asked. Nothing, just a room pretending to be boring. Elias said, "Send your tech. I want them to pull the raw camera data and look for any tampering." Already on it. Also, Nora's parents are at the station, and there's something else you should see in her file. What? She filed a noise complaint last week, said someone was whispering in the walls of this floor around midnight. Elias glanced around room 412 again. Of course she did. Nora's parents sat side by side in the cramped interview room, hands braided together so tightly their knuckles were white. Her mother had that look he recognized from other families, the look of someone hovering in the split second between hope and collapse. She wouldn't run away, she said for the 3rd time. She had exams. She had plans. She called me the day before. Everything was normal. Did she mention anyone new in her life? Friends, a boyfriend, a professor, anyone? She mentioned this building a lot lately, her father said. Something about noises, stories. She liked true crime podcasts, mysteries. She thought room 412 was interesting. He said the word like it tasted wrong. Did she ever seem scared? Elias asked. Only once, her mother said quietly. 2 nights ago, she called late, said she thought someone was standing outside her door, breathing. And what did she do? I told her to call reception. She laughed it off, said she was probably overthinking. A bitter smile flickered over the woman's face. She always said that. I'm probably overthinking. Did she mention a name? Anyone she made uncomfortable? Her father exchanged a glance with his wife. There was one person she mentioned, he said. She said a man on her floor kept watching her, at first from down the corridor, then in the lobby. She said he always stood too still, like he was listening to something only he could hear. Did she describe him? Tall, thin, dark coat, pale face. She said he made the hallway feel colder. Elias's mind went to the glitch on the footage, the shadow shape beside Nora. She'd described him before she disappeared. What did she call him? Elias asked. Her mother swallowed. She joked he was the shadow in room 412, said it made good episode title if she ever started a podcast. He wrote that down, even though the words had already carved themselves into his memory. The tech team spent the rest of the day dissecting the camera footage. Elias sat with them in the control office as lines of code and frame-by-frame stills scrolled past. Any external access? He asked. Our logs show no remote login, no deletion of data, no time skips. The frames are all there. The glitch is real time, not overlaid. If someone edited this, they did it straight into the signal before recording. Can that be done? With enough knowledge and the right equipment, yes, but it's not something a random student can do on a laptop. So either someone inside the building system or someone who builds systems for a living. More or less. They zoomed in on the single frame where the shadow appeared. It didn't resolve into anything clearer, just a humanoid silhouette, slightly taller than Nora, edges blurring into the grain. What's that smeared area by the left side? Elias asked. The tech leaned forward. Compression artifact? He adjusted the contrast. The smudge sharpened into something rectangular, held at chest level. Is that a card? Elias asked. On the pixelated shape, 3 barely legible numbers glowed. 412. A plastic access card, someone holding it up in front of the camera mid-glitch. That's impossible, the tech murmured. Numbering is only printed on the back of the cards. The camera faces the front. Unless you wanted the camera to see it, Elias said. Why would anyone want that? For the same reason you name a magic trick, the detective replied, so people tell each other the story. The building's cleaning staff consisted of 2 people, an older woman who worked mornings and a quiet middle-aged man named Victor who took nights. The woman barely knew Nora beyond polite, messy room, too many coffee cups. Victor, however, had a key to every door in the building and a schedule that overlapped perfectly with Nora's late-night study habits. His file said divorced, no children, previous job at an industrial laundry, no criminal record. His eyes, when Elias met him in the basement storage room, were gray and flat like a winter lake. You were on duty last night, Elias said. Yes, Victor said. His accent carried a dry Eastern cadence. I vacuumed hallways, took trash, mopped the lobby. Did you see Nora Hensel? Yes, she left elevator. She walked down corridor. I saw camera today. His lips barely moved around the words. And then nothing. You never heard footsteps, a door slam, a struggle? No. Did you ever talk to her before? Yes. What did you talk about? She asked for extra trash bags, Victor said. Once she complained about whispering in walls. And what did you say? That old buildings make sounds, pipes, heating, people walking. Do you believe that? Elias asked. Victor looked at him for a long time. There was something in his gaze that made the detective feel as if he were the one being evaluated. Belief is not my job, Victor said. Cleaning is my job. Do you clean room 412? Elias asked. Once a week, even if no one there, management orders. Why keep cleaning an empty room? Victor shrugged one shoulder. Maybe they hope someone rent it again. Rooms must not feel forgotten. What about the previous tenant? Elias asked casually. The man who went missing last year. For the first time, Victor's eyes flickered. I remember him. He smoked in the hallway, used too much cologne. He liked to say the building was special. In what way? He said room 412 was a door that wanted to be opened. Victor's mouth curled in faint disgust. Poetic nonsense. He disappeared, like girl. Maybe room is hungry. It was said like a joke, but Elias heard the trace of sincerity beneath it. Where were you the night he disappeared? He asked. Same as always, cleaning. Alone? Victor's lips twitched. Who cleans with company? It wasn't enough, not yet. Elias made a note to look deeper into him, but not at the cost of tunnel vision. He chased the wrong man once before in another case, and the guilt still followed him around like a smell. He needed more. On Nora's laptop, recovered from her room with her parents' consent, a folder sat on the desktop titled 412_project. Inside, a series of audio files, timestamps, and a document named episodeoutline.doch. She'd been planning a podcast episode. Elias plugged in headphones and clicked the first recording. A soft hiss of room tone, then Nora's voice, low and excited. Test recording, day 1. So I think my building is haunted or cursed or both. There's this room, 412, that everyone gossips about. 2 people have gone missing on this floor in the last few years. And the first guy, Aaron, lived in 412. And last week, I started hearing whispers. Not words, just this feeling that someone is talking behind the walls. Shuffle of fabric, a hollow tap. Anyway, I'm going to document this, because if I get murdered, at least I'll leave behind decent audio. She laughed at her own joke. Elias did not. He opened the outline document. She'd organized the episode into segments: building history, interviews with neighbors, recordings of the noises, security footage rumors. Further down, one line was highlighted in yellow. Ask Victor about power cuts and camera blind spots. He knows more than he says. So she'd noticed Victor too. Another line, building was part of a smart security pilot program before conversion. Find out what company ran that. Elias's eyebrows lifted. He dug into the town's planning office records. The building, once a mid-tier hotel, had indeed been part of a tech pilot. A local startup had installed experimental smart locks, networked fire alarms, and integrated surveillance overseen from a central system. The company's name hit him like a splash of cold water. Coral Site Technologies. He knew that name. His missing daughter's case had been one of the first public failures associated with Coral Site's prototype camera network in a train station. The footage from the critical platform glitched for 10 seconds. That's all it took. Coral Site blamed a power surge. The department blamed shoddy foreign hardware. Elias blamed himself. Now they were back in his life, carved into a digital ghost in a student's hallway. He looked up the company. Coral Site was still active, still small, now mostly selling basic security solutions to municipal offices. Their head office was, by coincidence or design, only a 15-minute walk from Nora's building. Room 412 had once been wired directly into their servers. The CEO of Coral Site was a man in his late 30s named Jonas Faber, slick haircut, anxious smile, hands that never fully stopped moving. His walls were plastered with framed patents and newspaper clippings that managed to hint at both innovation and legal trouble without being explicit. When he introduced himself and mentioned room 412, Jonas's smile did something strange at the edges. "I thought that was behind us," he said, rubbing his temples. "All what?" Elias asked. "The incidents," Jonas said. "Look, detective, this building, yes, we installed an advanced network there some years ago. Smart locks, biometric access, dynamic camera routing. It was bleeding edge for a company our size. It was also temperamental." "Temperamental enough to lose people?" Elias asked. Jonas flinched. "There were glitches. We fixed them." "The first missing tenant?" Elias continued. "Aaron. He lived in 412. What was his role?" "Aaron Keller," Jonas said reluctantly. "He was one of our freelance developers. He liked to test the system on site. Occasionally, he'd stay in one of the prototype rooms. 412 had the newest lock. He insisted it was fine. And then he disappeared." "We cooperated fully with the investigation," Jonas said quickly. "The police concluded he probably left town. There was no proof of anything else." "Convenient," Elias said. Jonas's eyes hardened. "Do you think I liked being associated with that? Our investors almost pulled out. We shut down the more experimental features. The building got downgraded to a normal digital system." "What experimental features?" Elias pressed. Jonas hesitated. "Dynamic access routing. The idea was that a room's lock could be reassigned temporarily to another physical door for security drills or emergency rerouting. Think a software-defined building, but it required precise mapping. It was abandoned. Too risky." "Reassigned," Elias repeated. "Yes. So theoretically, you could make the system think a different door is room 412. "Yes, but the hardware was removed after the pilot. The building's current system is standalone. It's not connected to us anymore." "Unless someone kept a back door, someone like a developer who knew how to reroute cameras and locks." Jonas opened his mouth, then closed it. Aaron had that level of access. If he wanted to vanish, he could have. If he wanted to make the system lie about what it was seeing, he could have. "That was years ago," Jonas protested, "and he's gone." "Are you sure? Or did he just move into the walls?" Jonas bristled. "This is absurd." "Maybe, but so is a girl disappearing from a closed corridor." As he left, Jonas called after him. "Detective," he said, voice lower. "The pilot produced artifacts, glitches. Once when we rerouted a door, the camera feed layered two spaces over each other. You'd open one door and see another room. For a second, it looked like there was a person standing where no one was. It scared the hell out of the testers." "What did you call that bug?" Jonas asked. "Internally? We jokingly called it the shadow, like the echo of a person who was there a moment ago." Of course they did. That night, Elias requested to be left alone on the 4th floor. The building manager hesitated. After dark? People don't like being up there, not since the stories started. "Stories are why I'm here," Elias said. He had the keys to every room in his coat pocket. The hallway was quieter now, the hum of the city dulled to a distant rush. The lights overhead flickered occasionally, tired from long use. He stood in front of room 412. He listened. No whispers in the walls, just the slow throb of pipes and the faint buzz of electricity. He opened the door and stepped inside. Same empty room, same blank walls, same window gazing at brick. He crossed to the wall that backed onto the corridor and rapped it lightly with his knuckles. Hollow. He traced its length. At ankle height, something interrupted the uniform dust line, a scuffed patch, like someone had rested the toe of a shoe there repeatedly. He knelt, pressed his ear to the plaster, and heard a faint, rhythmic vibration. Not pipes. Air. He moved aside the bed frame and dragged it to the center of the room. On the floor beneath where it had been, the laminate planks had a hairline gap that shouldn't have been there. A thin, rectangular, nearly invisible. A hatch. He took a breath, slid a knife blade into the seam, and pried. The panel lifted with a reluctant creak, revealing a narrow, metal-edged shaft beneath, wide enough for a person to crawl through. Cold air rose from the darkness. So there was another door after all. Elias switched on his flashlight and pointed it down. A steep, bolted steel ladder led into the black, disappearing beneath the floor and presumably into the building's skeleton. He pulled on a pair of thicker gloves, clipped the flashlight to his jacket, and descended. The air grew cooler, damper. Dust motes swirled in the beam of light like tiny ghosts. The ladder ended in a cramped service corridor, concrete walls, exposed cables, and a tangle of old ventilation ducts. The sound of the building above filtered down as a dull, muffled heartbeat. He moved carefully, ducking beneath low pipes, following the corridor as it twisted behind the rooms of the 4th floor. Here and there, small access doors were cut into the walls, maintenance panels that could be opened from the inside with a screwdriver. Most had never been touched. One, however, had smears of fresher dirt around its edges. He shone his light on the scribbled marker above it, 412B. He opened the panel. It swung inward into darkness. On the other side was a cavity, a horizontal crawl space between the walls. At the far end, a faint vertical crack of light glowed, the back of another panel, a route from room 412 to... where? He crawled, ignoring the dust clogging his throat and the ache in his knees. At the end of the passage, he pressed his ear to the crack. Through the sliver, he saw the faint shape of a door from the inside, not the corridor side, the room side. Someone had built a hidden inner door behind a perfectly ordinary one. Elias inched back, mind whirring, mapping the building in his head. If he'd come this far horizontally, he was now behind one of the neighboring rooms. But which? He checked the corridor direction, counted meters, thought of the numbers. 412's left was 413. Its right was 411. If this was behind 413, then room 412 had a twin on the other side of the wall, a mirror. He backed out of the crawl space, returned to the corridor, and climbed up into 412 with lungs full of dusty air. Back upstairs, he stepped into the hallway and knocked on 413. No answer. The manager, called up in a hurry, fumbled with his master key and opened it. Room 413 was vacant, bed still in plastic, no tenant yet assigned. On the wall shared with 412, the paint looked newer. He walked over and tapped it. The sound was thinner in one rectangle, about the size of a door. "Anyone done renovations in here?" he asked. The manager shook his head, then paused. "The previous owner did some work before we converted. Said he was reinforcing the walls for soundproofing." "Reinforcing," Elias repeated. He ran his fingers along the wall until he found it, a faint hairline crack where a panel met the plaster. There, painted over but not quite erased, was a tiny number, 412B. He pried. The panel swung inward, revealing the other side of the hidden cavity. Inside, the air was stale and sour. His flashlight picked out scratch marks on the plaster, a torn scrap of fabric, and crumpled in the dust, a small plastic rectangle, an access card. He picked it up with trembling fingers and turned it over. Room 412, Master. His phone buzzed in his pocket. The chief. Elias, we just got something from tech. You'll want to hear this. The tech's voice over the line was tight with adrenaline. We traced the camera glitch. You were right. Someone injected a feed overlay. In real time, the signal was rerouted for 3 seconds through an external IP address before coming back. Where? Elias asked. The tech read out the address. Elias typed it into his notes. It wasn't Corosite headquarters. It wasn't some foreign server farm. It belonged to an apartment 3 streets away, registered to Aaron Keller, the missing developer, the first shadow, the man everyone assumed was gone. Apparently not. The apartment was on the top floor of a crumbling block overlooking the river. No name on the doorbell, just the outline where one had once been. Elias chose not to call for backup yet. Something about this felt fragile, like one wrong move would send the whole illusion scattering. He climbed the stairs quietly and stopped outside the door whose buzzer matched the IP's registration. He listened. Faint electronic hum, the low rhythm of a human voice speaking softly, too soft to make out the words. He knocked once. Silence. He waited. He knocked again, louder. The door opened 5 centimeters, held by a chain. A pale eye peered through the gap. We're not accepting sales visits, a dry voice said. Good thing I'm not selling anything. Detective Kade, Criminal Investigations. I'd like to talk to you about room 412. The eye flinched. You're late, the voice said. It's already open. The chain slid back, the door opened. The man who stood there was thinner than the picture buried in the old case file, with longer hair and a beard coming in patchy and uneven, but the facial structure matched. Aaron Keller, Elias said. The man smiled faintly. People are still looking for me then. That's flattering. More like your ghost is still making trouble, Elias said, as he stepped inside. The apartment was a nest of wires and monitors. Screens filled an entire wall, each showing feeds from different cameras, streets, doorways, stairways, elevators. Elias recognized Nora's building from several angles. On one monitor, the 4th floor corridor looped silently. On another, room 412 showed its empty interior in grainy grayscale. You're illegally tapping private security systems, Elias said. Aaron shrugged. Once you've built the locks, it's hard to resist testing them. You disappeared. I stepped sideways, Aaron said. It's not the same thing. Where is Nora Hensel? Elias asked. The man's gaze flicked briefly toward the 412 feed, then back. Gone, he said. Dead? The system doesn't show death, Aaron said. It shows presence and absence, on and off, open and closed. You rerouted the signal when she walked down that corridor, Elias said. You injected an overlay of nothing, but there was something, wasn't there? You, maybe, standing there with your card. Why would I take her? Aaron asked, genuinely curious. She's the only one who took the room seriously. Because the room is your experiment, Elias said. You built a second door, a hidden pathway. Maybe you're tired of being alone in the walls. Aaron laughed, a short, rusted sound. You think I live in the ducts like a rat? I'm not a ghost, detective. I'm just adjacent. He walked over to the screens and pointed. The world above thinks in straight lines. Room numbers, corridors, 412, 413. But the building's map can be rewritten. Rooms can be adjacent in ways people don't see. I don't need to touch the walls. I only need to tell the system a different story. You told it that the hallway was empty, Elias said, for exactly as long as it took. How long did it take to pull her into the cavity? Elias asked. Aaron's fingers flexed. She wasn't pulled, she stepped. Why would she do that? Because I invited her. He clicked on another recording. Nora's voice filled the room again, this time not from her laptop, but from a captured audio channel in the corridor. "I can hear you," she was saying in a whisper. "I know you're there." Another voice, distorted by vents and echoes, answered her, Aaron's voice, calm, coaxing. "If you want to see how the building really works, open the panel under the bed. Don't tell anyone, it's just us down here." Elias's stomach turned. "You lured a teenager into a maintenance shaft to prove a technical theory?" "She wanted a story," Aaron said.